is now on, and we are live.
All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. I'm Jenny McCullum, the Chief Procurement Officer for JEA and the Chair of the Awards Committee. I'd like to call the September 3rd, 2020 Awards meeting to order. We have a quorum with Stephen Datz, Alan McElroy, Joe Arfano, Steve Tootin, and Wayne Young. We have the Office of General Counsel being represented by Julie Davis, and Budget is represented by Stephen Elmore. And I see him on as well. Okay, so we are all here. Just take a minute to read our statement for doing this via WebEx in an effort to slow the spread of the COVID-19 virus and to encourage social distancing. Governor DeSantis issued Executive Order 20-69, allowing local governments to hold public meetings using communication media technology rather than in a physical location. In keeping with the executive order, the JEA Awards Committee meeting is being held via WebEx teleconference, which allows interested persons to view and participate in the meeting remotely. Individuals who are having technical difficulties accessing the meeting or during the meeting should contact Lynn Ricks at 665-8621 for assistance. In the event that multiple people have technical difficulties that preclude them from attending or accessing the meeting will be recessed or postponed until the technical issues can be remedied. This meeting is being recorded and the minutes are being taken. Therefore, any individual who speaks during the meeting should do so clearly and slowly to ensure they are heard and understood for recording purposes by other participants and attendees. Participants shall, regardless of how they are accessing the meeting, keep their microphones on mute at all times when not speaking. The meeting host, which is Landon Todd, will have the capability to mute any microphone that is transmitting sound that causes feedback or that is otherwise disruptive to the meeting. Each person must wait to be recognized by the meeting host before speaking, and if people attempt to speak out of turn or talk over one another, they will be removed from the meeting. Each time an individual speaks during the meeting, they must first provide their name to ensure those dialing in can identify the speakers. Members of the public must state their name each time they make a comment. For all of the awards committee meetings, the public comment portion occurs at the beginning of the meeting, and all public comments should pertain only to the items on the agenda and are limited to 3 minutes in duration. And the agenda and associated materials and also the recording at the end of the meeting can be accessed through the JEA website at jea.com under Procurement, and there's a tab that is called Awards, Meeting, Agendas, and Minutes. Members of the public may submit their comments by email in advance of the meeting or may log in or dial into the meeting to speak during the public comment portion of the meeting. Individuals who are unable to access the meeting or who wish to submit their comments in advance may do so by submitting their comments to Lynn Ricks at rixlw@jea.com. Public comments submitted by email must be received no later than 10:10 a.m. on the date of the meeting, and the public comments submitted by email will be read into the record during the public comment portion of the meeting. Individuals attending the call will be given an opportunity to comment one at a time and in an orderly fashion upon recognition by Landon. The public comments will be given equal consideration regardless of the manner in which they are submitted. And I will pass it over to Landon to take us through the WebEx functionality and then take us through the public comment portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Once again, this is Landon Todd, and for those that are new to the WebEx technology, let me give you a brief overview of the controls. If you are joining us via the desktop interface or a smart device, such as a smartphone or tablet, you may move around the screen and will see a series of buttons at the bottom. The very first one that you may notice looks like a red microphone with a slash through it. If it is red, it means you are muted and will be on mute for the majority of the meeting unless recognized to speak. If you're recognized to speak and you are asked to provide comment, you will click on that button and it will turn dark gray or black. This will mean that you are unmuted and people can hear you. I do ask that you use the mute option to mute your line when you're not speaking. This will allow us to reduce the amount of background noise and have the most productive meeting possible. Also, if you'd like to see who is participating in today's meeting, you can look over 3 more buttons to find an icon that looks like a person. If you click on that, it will bring up the participant list. If you're on a mobile device, it will pull up in the front of everything, and if you joined on your desktop machine, it will come up on the right side of your screen. This will allow you to see a long list of individuals who have joined today's meeting. Also, I have enabled the chat capability. If you touch your screen or scroll next to the person icon, you will notice an icon that looks like a caption bubble. If you click on that, it will bring up the chat window. Please remember that this meeting is being recorded, and I ask that you please be professional. But if you run into any difficulties during today's meeting, you can chat me directly, or if you'd like to provide comments, you can do so by choosing the comments for everyone. Now, during today's meeting, when presentations are shared, you may desire to zoom in to more easily read the content. Within the WebEx toolbar located on the left side, you will notice 3 key options. The first is the icon with a plus positive indicator. This will allow you to easily zoom in on the content on your individual display. Now, the second icon with a minus negative icon will allow you to reverse and zoom out of the content. And lastly, is the icon with 4 arrows expanding, which will allow you to maximize your presentation to your current WebEx window. Now, due to circumstances resulting from COVID-19, a historic number of employees are rapidly transitioning to remote work. WebEx meetings has never been more vital for staying connected. For some users, meeting experiences may be impacted due to strain on service providers, causing internet and phone service degradation. Now, here are some tips you can take to get the best meeting experience in today's session. Number 1, close your background applications. Even if you're not using them, applications on your device are using precious resources. Before or during today's meeting, close any applications and browser sessions that you are not using. Number 2, switch the call to audio. If your internet audio or video experience or the call me back feature does not work, you can keep collaborating. Call in using the dial-in numbers in today's meeting invitation to join via your cell phone or landline. Number 3, hardwire your workstation. Depending on your location and how many people are using the same Wi-Fi around you, you may see slower speeds on Wi-Fi than on a wired Ethernet connection to your computer. And lastly, number 4, always feel free to contact the JEA WebEx support team. If you're having difficulty, our team is here to help you and may be reached at webexsupport@jea.com. Now, those are the major controls of WebEx, and we're now going to proceed with the public comment section. For public comments, we will be using the raised hand feature. If you're using the WebEx client, this feature is located within the participant window. At the top of the list, your name will be visible, and to the right, you will notice a gray icon that looks like a hand. If you click it, it will turn blue, letting me know that you'd like to be recognized for comment. Now, for those that may have called in directly, there are 2 additional ways that you can notify me that you'd like to provide comment. The first is by pressing *3 on your phone, which will raise your hand and then allow you to press *6 to unmute your line. If you unmute your line, please state your first and last name so everyone may hear who is speaking before providing comment. As we go through this meeting, I am the moderator and have the capability to mute everyone's line. I will only do so to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly. Now, as it's coming up on, we got about 20 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and just proceed with the public comments before we go to read comments in. We will go ahead, if there's anybody that would like to go ahead and provide public comments in today's session, please go ahead and use the raised hand feature that I just mentioned. Seeing none, I am going to go ahead and also offer for the alternative methods. go ahead and if you are on your telephone and have dialed in, press *3 on your telephone, or you can use the chat window to provide comments so that everyone can see. I'm not seeing none. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to see if there's any comments from Lynn that need to be read into the record. Lynn, is there anything that needs to be read into the record for today's session?
This is Lynn Ricks. There are no public comments.
Okay, it is officially at 10 after. So Jenny, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thanks, Landon. All right, so on today's agenda, we have items 1 through 7, and they have been reviewed by Procurement and Budget and are ready for the Awards Committee review. We will go through each item individually. I will ask if there are any questions or comments on any of the items to the committee, and we will then proceed to ask for a motion to approve each item and then a second, and I'll do a roll call through the committee in its entirety to get approval for each award item. So we are going to start with award item number 1, which is our minutes from the August 27th, 2020 meeting. Do we have any comments or questions on the minutes from last week?
Yes, Jenny, this is Wayne. I do have a comment and then a question. There was an item, I believe it was number 4, and we've done this with other awards too, where we made recommendations to amend the language or some portion of the award. And I do remember we had extensive discussion, I believe it was for number 4, to add some language that was suggested by legal OGC and approved by the board, by the committee. And I would like to just be reassured that that language has been captured. And is it general practice that when we do amend something from what it was originally presented as, that such language is included in the minutes to say that the award was approved with the following amended language or something to that effect, just so that we are aware that it was definitely captured? I would feel more comfortable seeing that in the minutes if it could be added in the future. We don't have many that occurs with, but I think it would be very useful.
Correct. I believe the one that we added the language to is number 3. And if you read the motion by Alan, made a motion to approve award item number 3 contingent upon receipt of the April 7th, 2020 letter by Annixter. The motion was seconded by Stephen Detz. Is that the one you're referring to make sure that we've got a written letter? Okay.
Right. Okay. Good. I was looking at that.
We do try to capture those in our minutes so it's very clear.
Okay, fantastic.
But great question. Are there any other questions?
Jenny, this is Alan McElroy. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Wayne Young, second.
Thanks, Wayne. I'll do a roll call through the committee to approve the meeting minutes from August 27th, 2020. We'll start with Alan McElroy.
Approve.
Wayne Young.
Approve.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Stephen Detz.
Approved.
And Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 2 is a contract increase. This is for a CMAR, so our Construction Management at Risk, which we call CMAR, services for the Buckman Biosolids Conversion Project. And the project is in need to update the treatment process at Buckman to meet current and future needs. Wharton Smith, Inc. is our recommended awardee. In the amount of $13,825,095.00. We have a project completion, which is expected September 2024. And I'll just make a note, this was competitively bid and originally approved by the Awards Committee in December of 2019. in the amount of $971,322. And this was for pre-construction services. So this contract increase is for an early out package and a guaranteed maximum price for the setup of the field offices that are included in this project and the purchase and installation of the blower system improvements. The negotiated price is approximately 7.5% below what the JEA estimate was at the beginning of this project. And JEA has also reviewed the CMAR GMP proposals and deemed the results reasonable when comparing to our past projects. So some due diligence goes into, all of these as we further negotiate the projects. So I will pause and ask if the committee has any comments or questions for award number 2.
Stephen Datz, motion to approve.
Thanks, Stephen. Can I get a second?
Alan McElroy, second motion.
Thanks, Alan. I'll do a roll call through the committee to approve award number 2, starting with Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
And Wayne Young.
Approved.
Great, thank you. Award number 3 is a change order to our Lofton Oaks Water Treatment Plant Improvement Project. And this is originally, solicitation was to provide engineering services, including the design, permitting, and services during construction. The plant, just as a note, major equipment has reached the end of its serviceable life and needs to be replaced. And Constantine Engineering, Inc. was our awardee, and this change order amount is being asked by the committee to approve for about, $76,977. The project completion is expected to be September 2023. And this was originally approved by the Awards Committee in June of 2018 in the amount of $342,800. Previous contract change orders were approved due to changes in design requirements by JEA and also by Nassau County. And if you look at the first page, you'll see whenever we have change orders, we will list those out like previous change orders. So you can see what they were for and the amount and the dates that we did that. So it all ties together with the original award amount, what those change orders are, and then the amount of this change order. And that'll get you to your new not to exceed amount. So for this additional work, it includes permitting work required by Nassau County, bid phase services, and services during construction. The land use permit changed, and the comments received by Nassau County required additional design changes. The hourly rates used in this amendment or this change order are the same that we originally negotiated back in 2018. So I'll pause and see if there are any questions from the committee. All right, seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 3.
Joe Arfano, so moved.
Thank you, Joe.
Steve Tootin, second.
Thanks, Steve. I'll do a roll call through the committee to approve award item number 3, starting with Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Wayne Young.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
And Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, award item number 4, this is a ratification, and it's also a contract increase. So bear with me. I'm going to try to give you guys some pretty good details about what's been going on with this one, and then we'll pause for questions. So this is for residential meters for JEA's inventory stock, and it includes 5 different types of meters with the primary application to measure the volume of water used by our residential customers. Census USA Inc. is our vendor, And the amount of this contract increase is $932,909.62. So we originally bid this competitively and approved by the awards committee in April of 2017. And this award went to Census in the amount of about $2.47 million. In March of 2018, and then in May of 2018, we did additional contract increases based off of usage, and those are attached as reference for backup. And you can also see those two listed on the first page under previous change orders. And so we've utilized this contract since 2017. And originally when we bid this out, we bid it out as a 5-year contract with 2 optional 1-year renewals. But for some reason back when we took this to the awards committee, we only asked the awards committee to approve a 1-year. I think the initial term is 1 year plus 2 1-year renewal options. So we had the capability when we bid this out originally to do a 5-year term with 2 optional renewals. But when we first brought it to the committee, I think we were looking at kind of what our future looks like for meters and did a smaller term at that point. But inadvertently, the contract with the vendor was executed for the 5-year with the 2 optional renewals. I'll just note that the original contract was, the new not to, or the exceed amount, the cap contract was what the awards committee approved, and the change orders that or the contract increases that we've done since then all fall in line with the awards committee approval. And so what this award is doing is it's requesting the committee to ratify and approve the contract entered in with Census to be effective January of 2017 with a 5-year term, which is what we originally had actually executed the contract for. So we're asking you guys to ratify that so that we can have the documentation from the awards committee approval to have a contract for that long. And then approve the contract increase, which will cover 5 months of consumption while we bid this contract out. So JEA doesn't plan to use the whole 5-year term that you guys are ratifying, and we plan to only use, and what this award increase is for 5 months. But we want it to match what the original executed contract was for and what we originally had solicited. And then once we get through the competitive process through a bid, we will come back to the awards committee with a new contract and term, et cetera. And I'll just note the decision for a new bid was based on a 3rd vendor being successfully tested and then the growth in the community exceeding the original usage amount. So you see we are continuing to come back for contract increases as growth happens. But, for a long time, we've only had 2 vendors that have been approved for our residential meters, and our meter group has worked very hard to find a 3rd vendor, and we are ready to go out and bid to the 3 to have increased competition. So I did a lot of talking there, so let me pause and see if the committee has any questions or comments.
Jenny.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Julie Davis.
Julie.
I just wanted to, and Office of General Counsel, I wanted to clarify one difference in kind of the way that you described it and the way that I understood the situation from talking with your category manager. So the way I understood it was, this was bid out as a 5-year contract. And that what was done inadvertently was not entering into the 5-year contract, but inadvertently the awards committee was only asked, the award write-up only provided for 1 year. The business entered into the 5-year contract and has been acting under the assumption that the contract is for 5 years. But when they started looking at the documentation to consider the rebid, they discovered that for some reason the award was only done for 1 year. Nobody seems to have any, there wasn't any indication that there was a reason that was done. And it seems just to have been done inadvertently, and the business and the vendor acting under the assumption that this was a 5-year contract. So it's possible that there was some reason that only 1 year was approved back then, but I think that, so what I understood the committee was being asked to do was to, ratify the contract that was entered into, which was a 5-year contract, as though it had been approved, so that is an authorized contract that was entered into at the time, with the assumption that this was just, something that was an oversight when the original award was done. Is that your understanding, Jenny?
I mean, I think we were saying the same thing, except and I could be making the assumption this was a while ago when we entered into it. I just thought I remembered, if there was a reduced term, and that was why they brought it to the committee that way. But I don't have that as a 100% confidence. But I just recall, typically when that happens, it's either an accident or there's a reason why. And so, but yes, I think we're saying the same thing from a committee standpoint, is that we need the ratification to approve the 5-year term that we have been working under to match the executed contract that we have. And then this would be the last contract increase for this contract. And we will come to the committee with a new contract when it's time, after we bid it out.
Jenny, this is Alan. I'm a little confused also. So what we're being asked to do is approve a 5-year contract for 5-year term. I'm sorry, for based from 2017, which will take it to 22. And then I'm confused about the 5 months. I mean, so if we approve a 5-year contract, are we not still obligated under that contract until January 31st, 2022?
So this is a maximum indebtedness contract also that we are basing forecasts off of. And so, originally we did bid this out for a 5-year term, but we're not obligated, since we found that it's in the best interest of JEA to bid this out to increase the competition and to have that third vendor that has now been tested and approved. We feel like that is the best, in the best interest of JEA to move forward that way. And so once this contract amount runs out, we are not obligated to put more money on it to use it, and we can then use the new bid going forward, assuming that everything plays out the way that we are hoping it'll play out in all 3 bid, and we get some, competitive pricing. This would allow us, however, to still have this 5-year contract in place. And so if we don't get the results that we were looking for on the bid that we put out on the street, it would give us flexibility to come back to you guys to use this contract if we needed to keep business operations running. So, we've got some flexibility, and if the bid runs over or we need more time, we can come back and ask you guys to give us more money on this to use. But based off of our projections, this is all we're asking, is that we get through that 5-month period, and that's what that amount is for. Does that answer your question?
Not sure. So Census signed a contract, executed a contract with JEA in 2017, and it's supposed to be for 5 years. So we approved the 5 years, and then all of a sudden
Correct.
Now we can come back and say that we're going to bid it out in 5 months from now. Am I assuming too much?
You're not assuming too much. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is Julie Davis again. I think from a legal perspective, the contract is not, sometimes in the private world, it would almost never happen in the public world, I don't think, that you would have a requirements contract where you would agree to buy all of your requirements for a particular type of item. But on these inventory contracts, there's no obligation to purchase a certain amount or that you purchase continually under the contract for the 5 years. You just purchase as you go, and so you know, there's always too the opportunity for JEA to terminate for convenience. I don't know that that would be necessary in this situation, because if you've used up the maximum indebtedness, there's no obligation to continue to purchase. So
that clarifies it. That makes sense. That we're basically just using all of the units and reaching the maximum indebtedness. I'm good. Thank you both.
okay, sure.
You're welcome. Thank you for clarifying, Julie. You said it much more eloquently than I did. All right, do we have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Wayne. I do have a question based on the original language. I know there was a modification to this, but could you just help me understand the term restate the contract? Does that simply mean just restore it to what it was originally at prior to some change being made?
I'm not sure I understand. Can you?
Yeah, I'm addressing.
What you're being asked to do is that right now there's a contract in place that's not properly authorized. Okay, the JEA entered into a contract for 5 years. It only had the authority to enter into a contract for 1 year.
Okay.
So what you're being asked to do now is to ratify that original contract that was entered into for 5 years, so that, you know, that would be retroactive. You know, to some extent you can't fix it, but you're fixing it in a way by ratifying the prior actions under the contract that for the last several years.
Okay.
Under an unauthorized contract.
Okay.
So you're ratifying. You're being asked to ratify the contract that was entered into in 2017.
Okay. And just for clarification on that, the term I was using, restate the contract, was in the initial summary brief, and I just didn't understand what restate the contract. What does that encompass when you restate the contract?
Right. We're not restating the contract. The contract will remain in the same that it is. What you're doing is restating the award in a sense. You're ratifying the contract that's in place. You're not changing the terms of the contract, except this the increase to the maximum indebtedness to allow you to purchase more the items.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
So I'll just note, not to confuse things even more, but I will make this note. The original term that the awards committee had approved was a 1 year, but it also had 2 one-year renewal options, which were utilized. So it's not like we've been, you know, operating under a contract, you know, that was only until 2018 and we continued to use it. It's been over 3 years that was approved by the committee, but that would have had expired based off of what you guys had originally approved at that 3-year mark. So what Julie's saying is, you know, the vendor was under the assumption with the executed contract that we were doing the 5 years. We were this is again to just ratify that to align with what the solicitation had originally stated and what the executed contract stated. But I just want to assure you that it hasn't been just something that we've been purchasing off of. The vendor wouldn't have let us do that if there wasn't a contract in place, but for your purposes, 3 years of it had been approved previously from the awards committee in total, not just that first year. So I just want to clarify that. So do we have any comments, any other comments or questions? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 4.
Jenny, this is Alan McElroy. I approve, make a motion for approval.
Wayne,
Alan, can I get a
second.
second? Thanks, Wayne. I'll do a roll call through the committee to approve award number 4 with Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Wayne Young,
Approve.
Stephen Datz,
Approved.
Joe Arfano,
Approved.
and Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, the next two are much easier. These two go together. They are two different assignments. So we've had a company that was bought out. So I'm going to give you, a good amount of detail on this first one, but the second one is going to be identical to this. So award number 5, again, is an assignment of a contract, and this is our contract for process tank and class 4 lift station cleaning services. And so what that does is removes and disposes of floating and solidified fats and oils and grease, which we refer to as fog, grit and other debris from various, lift stations that need to be cleaned out. So originally this bid was approved by the awards committee and in September of 2019, and it was for security utility services, and they have notified us that they were purchased by Wind River Environmental, and so this is an award to approve the assignment of the contract to the new company, which would be Wind River Environmental, doing business as Metro Router. And so there's no additional funding that is being added to this. The original term and everything is still intact. We're just assigning this contract to the new vendor that bought out Security. So all assignments should be evidenced by an assignment and assumption agreement drafted through the Office of General Counsel. So they'll help assist us with that language and make sure all of that goes through smoothly. Do you guys have any questions on award number 5?
Jenny,
can I get a motion?
I'm sorry. Jenny, if I could point out one thing.
Sure.
So I think what our office recommends in situations with assignments like this is that that the business verify that the company that bought the other, the original vendor has the capability to perform the contract, looks and make sure they're financially secure and just does some due diligence work, which I believe the business has done in this situation, but that's really the important business piece of making sure that when a contract is awarded, it's awarded to a specific vendor. In the circumstances, the business gets bought out. This happens often, but the due diligence that the business should make before bringing it to the awards committee is just to make sure that the new vendor is able to perform the contract sufficiently. So that's what you're approving in a sense. So I'm sure the business did that in this situation.
So I know that is Talia on the phone? Do you just want to confirm that for the committee?
Jenny, this is Dan Crook, purchasing agent for this. We did confirm that, and also Metro Router, the assignee, does this type of work for us as well. So we're very familiar with them, and they're able to do the work.
Yes, and they were also the second lowest bidder when we did the original contract. So they met our qualifications.
So are the rates will stay the same? They're not increasing?
Correct.
Okay, great. So going forward, just for my team, just add that sentence in there going forward, and it would, make it even more clear to the committee what they're, that we've done that due diligence on the back end. But thank you for that input. And Julie, that's, good advice. We'll put that in there going forward so that it's clear that they're doing the assignment and that we've done that work behind the scenes. Are there any questions or comments? All right, can I get a motion to approve award number 5?
Wayne Young, motion to approve.
Thanks,
Stephen
Wayne.
Datt, second.
Thanks, Stephen. I will do a roll call through the entire committee, starting with Wayne Young.
Approve.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
And Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, award number 6 is identical to award number 5, except for this is for industrial services to remove and dispose of the sand, grit, grease, and other debris at the various Class 1, 2, and 3 hump stations. So the same company had the original award, and we are doing an assignment for the Wind River Environmental. Again, the contract term will stay the same. Everything just transfers over, and if Dan, I believe you guys, did you check and also do your due diligence for this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, are there any questions on this award?
General, has this company done work for us before?
They have. It's the same company that Dan was referring to on the last award. So Wind River Environmental doing business as Metro Router. So Metro Router has contracts with us, and they've done good work in the past. So they will be.
Same type of work.
Also, can I add that in this specific award, we had 2 vendors. It was Metro as the primary and Accurate Utilities as the secondary. Now Metro Router has assumed the secondary, so now we only have the one vendor, Metro Router, or Wind River.
And we don't have any concerns that the additional load on Metro Router would affect performance in any way?
No, because the Accurate employees went to work for Metro, so both companies are together now.
Okay, fantastic. All right, any other questions?
I will just point out the one other thing I'd recommend that we recommend on these types of situations is that we're confident that we get letters from both companies, and we're confident that there really has been a transfer of the business. I've seen several examples of situations with the city where they've gotten communications saying there's been a sale of the business and there really hadn't. It's really some dispute between several different owners. So, but in this situation, we have included in the backup, I think there's letters from the original owner who's familiar to the business, stating that in fact that there was actually a sale of the business.
We received a letter from both businesses.
Right, right.
Thanks, Julie. Any other comments or questions? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 6.
Joe Arpano, so moved.
Thanks, Joe.
Alan McElroy, second.
Thanks, Alan. I'll do a roll call through the entire committee, starting with Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
Wayne Young.
Approved.
And Stephen Dax.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, our last award, award number 7. This is a contract increase for our janitorial services. This is a sheltered market, and this is our substations and our lift stations. EverSafe Building Maintenance Corporation is a JSEB, so 100% of this is going to a JSEB organization. And again, this is janitorial services at JEA buildings located in the substations, lift stations, chiller plants, water treatment plants, and wastewater treatment plants. So, and the work includes labor, supervision, materials, tools, equipment, reporting requirements necessary for performing the work. We originally entered into this contract back in 2016. It was July of 2016 for a 1-year term and the amount of $177,782. The awards committee approved a 2-year renewal on February of 17 in the amount of $373,342.20. And then the awards committee came back and approved the second 2-year renewal back in let's see, it was April of 2019 in the amount of $395,941.52. So you can see, with our original 1-year amount, the renewals coming to the committee on the change order backup, and then we did an administrative increase because we had started to, and what this award is about is to request a contract increase just to cover additional funds for primarily required to our increase in disinfecting for COVID-19, along with increasing the sites, the cleaning sites, so they're going more often. So same work, same rates, that we're just, they're performing more work for us due to current conditions. We also are adding, there's new sites that are coming on board that we're going to add the cleanings to, same rates, et cetera, but just additional sites that are now available that need cleaning. So we've got also 2 new substations coming that are included in this amount, and 2 new water treatment plants during the next fiscal year. So we're trying to capture everything through the end of this contract term, which is July of 2021. And our, based off at least the current usage that we have, we're about it with the additional services, with the, COVID and having to do more cleaning and these additional sites, we're looking at about $62,000 per month. And the award amount reflects through the end of the contract term what we think we're going to spend. So if we go over that, we'll come back to the awards committee if needed to increase, do a contract increase again. But right now, with the current situation, we're basing our forecasts off about $62,000 a month. So the increase would be, again, to EverSafe Building Maintenance Corporation in the amount of $658,979.71. So do I have any questions or comments from the awards committee?
Stephen Datz, motion to approve.
Thank you, Stephen. Can I get a second?
Joe Arpano, second.
Thanks, Joe. I'll do a roll call through the entire committee, starting with Stephen Datz to approve award number 7.
Approved.
Thank you. Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Alan McElroy.
Approved.
Steve Tootin.
Approved.
And Wayne Young.
Approved.
All right, so we have approved the entire agenda for September 3rd, 2020. Is there any other business to come before the awards committee? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned. Have a great rest of your Thursday and a safe weekend.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.